In the landscape of modern Hollywood, some actors disappear into their roles. Others become the role. But one man seems to forge his characters from the fire of his own being. His story isn't just one of auditions and callbacks. It's an odyssey of taming a wild energy and turning it into one of the most compelling forces on screen today. This is the journey of Jon Bernthal. There's an unmistakable electricity to him, a coiled, primal intensity that lives just beneath the surface. You see it in the haunted eyes of a vigilante, the desperate loyalty of a doomed survivor, or the slick confidence of a 1960s auto executive. It feels real because, for Bernthal, it is. His story begins not on a soundstage, but on the streets of Washington, D.C. A kid with a rebellious streak, known more for finding trouble than finding his mark. He famously had his nose broken over a dozen times, a physical testament to a youth lived on the edge. It was a raw, unfocused energy, looking for a purpose. He found that purpose in the most unlikely of places. An acting teacher saw past the bravado and gave him a choice: harness this fire or be consumed by it. Bernthal chose to harness it, embarking on a pilgrimage that would define his entire career. He traveled to Russia, to the legendary and notoriously brutal Moscow Art Theater. Imagine it, a tough American kid in the heart of post-Soviet Russia, learning the disciplined, soul-deep techniques of Stanislavski. He wasn't just learning lines. He was learning to excavate his own truth, to channel his aggression and vulnerability into a craft. He was forging his tools. Returning to the States, the path wasn't paved with gold. For years, he was a grinder, the quintessential that guy in dozens of TV shows and movies, a face you recognized but couldn't quite place. He was paying his dues, honing his craft in small parts, waiting for a role that could contain the storm he had learned to control. Then came the zombies. As Shane Walsh in The Walking Dead, the world finally saw what Bernthal was capable of. He wasn't just a villain. He was a tragic figure, a man whose fierce loyalty curdled into dangerous obsession in a world gone mad. He made you understand Shane's every terrible decision, and in doing so, he stole every scene he was in. That performance was a declaration. It showed Hollywood he could do more than just be tough. He could portray the complex, often ugly humanity behind the toughness. It was the role that put him on the map, but it was just a preview of the darkness he was about to embrace. Then came The Skull, Frank Castle, the Punisher. A role that could have been a one-dimensional cartoon of violence became, in Bernthal's hands, a gut-wrenching portrait of grief. He didn't just play the Punisher, he embodied the raw, screaming pain at the character's core. He transformed his body, but more importantly, he broke himself down emotionally. He isolated himself, walking through New York with headphones on, steeping himself in the solitude and rage of a man who had lost everything. The animalistic roar of Frank Castle wasn't just acting. It was a carefully conducted symphony of controlled chaos. For many actors, a role that iconic becomes a gilded cage, but for Bernthal, it was a key. It unlocked a new phase of his Odyssey. Instead of being typecast, he used that intensity as a new color in his palette, applying it with surprising nuance. We saw it in his portrayal of Lee Iacocca in Ford v Ferrari, a man whose aggression was channeled through sharp suits and boardroom battles. We saw it in King Richard, where his coaching intensity was a source of inspiration, not intimidation. And in a single, devastating episode of The Bear, he delivered a monologue that was a masterclass in charisma, love, and simmering family trauma. He's become one of the most respected character actors of his generation, a chameleon who never loses his core essence. The same fire that got his nose broken in DC is now celebrated, refined, and sought after by the industry's best directors. Through it all, the man behind the characters remains fiercely loyal and grounded, dedicated to his family and his rescued pit bulls. He carries the lessons from Moscow not as a burden, but as a foundation. His is a journey of relentless dedication, a testament to the idea that the wildest parts of ourselves, when honed with discipline and purpose, can become our greatest strengths. Jon Bernthal's Odyssey is far from over, but he has already proven that he is not just an actor who plays intense characters. He is the architect of that intensity itself.